Welcome to UC Today. My name's David Dungay. This is a new channel show we have at UC Today where we'll be talking to prominent members of the channel community. First up, we have Matthew Warboys from Gamma. Welcome to the show, Matthew. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, David.
Excellent, excellent. Well, before we get started on today's conversation, can you tell us a bit about yourself and Gamma?
Yeah, sure. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Matt Warboys. I'm the Business Development Director over at Gamma. And I guess really I'm responsible for putting together our solutions that we take to our customers, working with our channel partners, the Gamma product team, and ultimately the Gamma sales team to ensure that we succeed as a business and ultimately our channel partners succeed, because our success is their success.
Excellent. Well, can you give us a little bit of an update on Gamma? We're here at the beginning of 2021, just gone into February. Lockdown number 3, are we on? It's hard to keep count sometimes. How are things at Gamma? How's the last year been?
Yeah, no, it's been going well actually, David. I think obviously for a number of UK businesses and a number of individuals, it's been quite a challenging time. But I think we're actually quite fortunate. The industry that we operate in, the communication sector, has been fairly robust. And at Gamma, I think we took a decision fairly early on to continue our investment in our core strategy. So we've carried on employing additional staff, making additional investment into our sort of key strategy areas. So for Gamma, I think, ironically, I think we've got an opportunity where probably in the 15 years that I've been at Gamma, I've not seen a product set and some product releases that we'll be launching this year more exciting than any other year, really. So it's been a good year, and it's been a good time, obviously in a backdrop that's been fairly challenging for the UK overall.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk about some of those exciting launches in a moment. But first of all, can you give me a sense of your partner community? You know, what's going on that front? Are we seeing any casualties? Any particular big wins? What's the situation at your partner level at the moment?
Yeah, so obviously we spend a huge amount of time talking to those guys, and I think the feedback that we're getting from the majority of them is it's been fairly robust. I think the UK business are slowly getting on with things, whilst it's been a challenging time for us. I think we're pulling together and trying to get through this. I think we're seeing private equity funding is really prominent in the marketplace. I think cash is quite cheap in that sense, so we're seeing a number of businesses taking advantage of that. What that ultimately means is we're seeing consolidation. So we're seeing people take advantage of exiting the market, and I think you're probably it's a good opportunity to take stock of where businesses are, and we're seeing a number of our channel partners thinking through, what do I do here? Is it an opportunity to perhaps sell out that business, or on the flip side, we're seeing a number of our partners go, no, this is it. We're investing, we're bringing in additional sales capability, and we're really digging down and going again. So I think it's an interesting time. I think 2021 will see a real sort of consolidation, as well as a number of businesses that are making those investments to come out the other side, because I think there'll be huge opportunity that represents itself as part of this, because ultimately the need to move to the cloud and people taking advantage of working from home solutions will really drive that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, consolidation can be good, can be bad at times. What does this mean for partners? Is this really a new opportunity? Quite often when we see businesses merge or come together, a few customers, fall out the other end at times. What does this actually mean for partners, and what is that opportunity?
Well, I think when you have consolidation, you're probably looking at businesses that are perhaps at the legacy end of their tenure. So I think the acquirers have the opportunity to evaluate what they can sell into that customer base, and ultimately, as you said, when there's change, represents people perhaps looking at alternative suppliers. So it'll mean that there's a lot of activity in the marketplace, and I think you'll see that with people looking at that PBX that's perhaps been sitting in their office, but they've not been able to go in the last year, thinking, how do I make a change? Perhaps the communication provider that they've been dealing with has been acquired. So there'll be plenty of opportunity where people will be thinking, oh, is now the time that I look to replace that? And I think that we'll see a number of people refreshing their technology solutions. So I think it represents an opportunity in that sense.
Okay. Well, let's have a little bit of an update on the portfolio now. Then, I mean, Gamma, obviously prominent member of the hosted telephony space in the UK and well, increasingly around Europe. What's going on there? I know you've got some new things on the horizon. Excuse the pun. What is going on there?
Yeah, so I said earlier, David, I think in my 15 years at Gamma, we've never started a year, I think, with a product set and a planned launch of new services that we've got now. And I think, yeah, most prominent one that we'll be launching this quarter will be our Horizon Contact, and that's our step into the contact center space. So targeting specifically at the SME market, and it really enables our Horizon resellers to take that product and upsell that into perhaps areas where people are starting to see that requirement for the contact center, and whether that be web chat or whether it be a call routing type solutions, then yeah, it's a really exciting time for us, and we're really excited about that. It was born out of the acquisition that we made in Telsys. So we've got our own software capability, and it's a piece of software that we've built ourselves. It's really we're really proud of, and really shows the investment that we're making in the Horizon platform and how we're taking that to the next level. So I think it represents a great opportunity for our channel partners to extend the services that they provide to their SME customers, and ultimately start to target some of those that are perhaps on legacy contact center software that they're looking to move to the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, what's happening at that SME level at the moment in terms of spend? Are you seeing people take this period we're in as an opportunity to make those changes, to get themselves into the right sort of technology for long term, or are you still seeing a bit of a hesitance there for people to spend on big projects and things?
Yeah, I think one of the initiatives that so Gamma were fairly prominent in our approach during the first lockdown around our COVID support package, and one of the areas that we've really tried to support our partners on this year is our sort of business recovery package that we put together. We are still seeing SMEs making those investments, but I think one of the biggest fears that perhaps our channel partners have is around some of those SMEs that perhaps might not make it through, and some of those that end up becoming insolvent or going into administration, ultimately going into administration. So we've put together a recovery package to try and support them around that, so to look after them from that insolvency point of view. But I think to your point around the sort of the spend of it, we're certainly seeing businesses look to take SME businesses look to take those solutions to market. They need to adapt. They need to make sure that they're utilising the best software that they can to deliver their communications. And we're starting to and we're seeing that sales are holding up quite well, actually, during the lockdown periods. During the actual lockdowns, they're a little bit quieter, but as businesses go back, you then see that sort of hockey stick effect where they really start to make those investments. Now they're back in the office. So I think there's where it's a UK business has been quite robust in that sense, and we're seeing SMEs making those investments still. So it's relatively positive there.
Excellent. Okay. Well, look, another explosive growth story in our space. Microsoft Teams. Service providers are somewhat falling over themselves to create propositions around Teams. You see direct routing, you see integration. What's Gamma's stance on Microsoft Teams? What are you doing around that product?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's they have been absolutely one of the real beneficiaries of what we've seen over the last the year and a half. And Gamma have taken the decision relatively early on to really embrace that. We were fortunate that prior to the initial COVID lockdown, we acquired a Microsoft practice in Exactive, and that's really given us the skill set to be able to take the Microsoft product in house, and look at how we can best utilize that opportunity. And we've got a couple of different ways of doing it. We've got a number of our users using the Horizon product, so we're looking at how we invest in rich and more so perhaps the lighter integration, because people will perhaps still want to use their telephony platform to integrate with Microsoft. So we're seeing integration important there, and I think integration will be important at different levels depending on how Microsoft price their licensing. So we'll see people looking at both the light and a much richer integration. And then you've got the folk that want to go full blown Microsoft Teams and want to use it as their communication platform. And absolutely, we're seeing people that are choosing to do that. We're probably seeing that happen more in the enterprise space than perhaps the SME space. Whether Microsoft changed that with some of their promotions remains to be seen, but it's certainly making the most ripples, I think, in public sector and enterprise where we're seeing it. And we've absolutely embraced that with our direct routing capability. One of the investments that we need to make, and it's something that we're going to be launching in Q2 this year, is our automation around that. So removing the need for the PowerShell skills, making sure our channel partners can deliver it in a much simpler fashion than it's currently delivered. But so we've got it at the moment. We've got direct routing at the moment. We've got some fantastic feature ads that sit alongside it. So the ability to do some cool diverts if the customer wants to. So the core management layer around it, we've really invested in that to deliver a feature-rich capability to make sure that if there's any problems with Teams, that they can log into a portal to manage their own number to get that diverted. So yeah, it's a really important area for us.
Yeah, so you say you're seeing these projects at the maybe the upper end of the market. In the SME space, are those projects starting to hit those smaller businesses yet? Are they interested in direct routing and integration with Teams?
Less so, and I think that's probably it's taken a while for the IT centric partners to really get on board with Teams and seize the opportunity there. I think the more traditional comms partners have got their established products that they're selling, whether that be Horizon or their whatever voice over IP platform that they're choosing to take to market. So I think it's slowly going to sort of trickle into that space, but less so. I think it's more at the corporate end that we're seeing that type of approach.
Yeah. Okay. So channel partners, throughout the world, are going to be looking at the Teams opportunity. I'm sure. Everyone has their sort of opinion on Teams or Microsoft and their strategy. What kind of things should the channel partners really be thinking about before onboarding someone with a direct routing proposition or an integration? Where should they sort of be looking to make that fit within their current setup?
Yeah, I think Microsoft have been relatively clear on their strategy around it. It's a partnership that they're looking for when they're taking their Teams capability to market. So direct routing forms a big part of that, but there's a number of open APIs that they've got where they can integrate with perhaps contact center providers, call recording providers, and I think it's really understanding, have you got the skill set to be able to deliver the end-to-end solution that the customer requires? Because it may not be that it's all procured from one particular place. And I think being able to pull those together and understand, and have you got that capability to be able to, or are you working with somebody that's got the capability to be able to deliver that end-to-end solution? Because it's one thing making a call on Teams, but it's a different thing putting together a solution that perhaps fits that customer's requirements. So I think there's understanding the customer requirements and making sure that you've got that capability in-house to be able to deliver it, or at least partnering with somebody that can deliver that for you to ensure that the customer gets ultimately the service that they require. I think that's really important.
I think that's a really key point actually. Those in-house skills, you've really got to make sure that you've got all your bases covered before you jump in here. So well, that's great. So Matthew, tell me about 2021. Looking ahead this year, it's I guess it's difficult to know what's going to happen with the situation globally. But what are you excited about this year?
What am I excited about this year? Oh, maybe going on holiday would be a personal one, David. I think a long overdue break would be nice. I think in the business sense that this year we're picking up on a theme that I was talking around earlier. I think we'll really start to see in the channel space, we'll start to see businesses thinking in two different approaches. With that, the increase in private equity funding, we'll see businesses either choose to perhaps sell out, but also I think that represents, as you said, an opportunity where the flip side of that, you'll see businesses say, well, actually, there's an abundance of salespeople or people that I can now bring into my business, and you'll really start to see, I think, channel partners invest in those services and seize the opportunity that's in front of them, which is with the WLR switch off, whether it be moving their customers onto a connectivity service like Sagir, whether it be replacing the the old-fashioned landline product with a voice over IP service there, or whether it be moving people off of those legacy PBXs that have been doing nothing for the last sort of 6 to 9 months. So I really think there'll be some great opportunity for the channel to grow. The channel community is one of those fantastic areas where they continually reinvent themselves, and I think this period in front of us now, as we look at those, we'll really start to see those capitalize on that. You can't ignore those guys at Microsoft. I think they'll probably start to perhaps embed some additional capability, whether it be some of their own call recording, call analytics, contact center into their own offering. You might start to see them deliver more of a rounded solution to customers. That could be an area that they deliver, and we're keeping a close eye on what services we can complement the likes of Microsoft, and what areas that they might choose to go into themselves. So that'll be a really interesting watch, I think.
You mentioned Sogia and a little bit about the ISDN switch off there. 2025 it's come around quick. It was released. Well, the news was 10 years ago or 6 years ago, so we've got 4 years to go until the switch off. Some research came out recently. I think it was between Gamma and BT, and businesses aren't particularly prepared for this. Are you seeing that common theme for your through your partner network, and what's happening on that front? Is there a bit more urgency in the market now?
Are businesses aware of it, and is there an urgency in the market? I think we, as a community and as a supplier like Gamma, we have an obligation to try and educate some of our channel partners around that. And we've started that process only this week. We started to do more awareness webinars with our channel community to talk through what that means for them in terms of connectivity, what type of services we'll be seeing end of life, what services they should be selling to customers moving forward, talking through how what the opportunity for voice looks like once ultimately the PSTN line is no longer in that sense. So there's the education piece is increasing, but it's an area that we could always do more at, but it certainly represents an opportunity like none other. That you're quite right. It's approaching very quickly, and making sure that you've got customers on a journey to transition them across is really important. You put a customer into a 3 or a 5 year contract, you're on the cusp of transitioning into that area. So you really got to think through what that technology journey looks like for them.
Absolutely. Okay, well, look, Matt, it's been fabulous to talk to you today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, David. Cheers all. Thank you.
And thank you for watching. You've been watching me, David Dungay, on UC Today. I'll see you next time.